Gallerati back here for the CRP, and I'm joined by Devin Miller, which means it is MMA talk, and we are focusing on the Bantam division this week. The big news came down the pike that TJ Dillashaw is relinquishing his belt and will be serving a 1-year suspension for PED use. That leaves the Bantamweight 135-pound division wide open, and we've been speculating about what type of matchups we could see for the interim title or for the new champion. And the matchup we talked about with Devin a little bit back was possibly Henry Cejudo taking on Marlon Morais, the two top names in the division at this point, and they got into it on Twitter. Devin, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and we definitely speculated a little bit. We went over about how Marlon Morais is definitely the number one contender in this division, considering his knockout wins over Jimmy Rivera and Aljamain Sterling, and his first round finish just recently in the rematch with Rafael Assunção. And now we speculated on what potential matchups could be made, and we came to the conclusion that the Cejudo fight at the chagrin of the rest of the flyweight division is probably likely what is going to happen because of the name value on that fight. It'd be a good story with Cejudo. And sure enough, now you've got Cejudo coming out and saying, I'm going to run all the weight classes to Cejudo weight. And Morais coming out saying, that is my fight, and I'm confident. He said he's confident the UFC will pick his opponent. And then he told Cejudo to stay in his lane. And so it's going to be interesting. And everything came out with a tweet that Cejudo did, talking about how he's the youngest Olympic gold medalist, and he's the UFC flyweight champion, just knocked out Dillashaw, and basically said, "You think I'm afraid of a World Series of Fighting champion?" And Morais came back with a funny little jab back at Cejudo, telling him, you'll strike out worse with me than you did that WWE girl. Just poking fun at Cejudo. So the war of words has already began. It's already on Helwani's Twitter, which I've come to realize is kind of a good indication of where things are going to go. If him or Akamoto or any of them are reporting it, it's definitely in the works. And so I think this is the fight that we're looking at, and I think it's a really interesting matchup. Not good for the flyweight division, but it's a good matchup nevertheless.
So, Cejudo moves up, possibly he could be a 135 and a 125-pound champion, but I see as Cejudo gets older, the chances of him going to 125 again are low. He had trouble making weight early in his career, and, once you don't have to go to the extreme levels anymore, to go back and suck it up and do it again after, say 2 years competing at 135, that's a tall order. But that always leaves you for an ability to refresh the division, bring in new talent, and go that way. So if you count on Cejudo at 135, Cejudo versus Morais, how do you see that fight? Because Morais, even in the WSOF days or whatever it was, Morais is the guy people picked against, and usually he wound up, getting the job done and messing people's bets up. And I'm quite honest.
Well, I know that Morais comes with a great team around him over there with Mark Henry and Frankie Edgar and all them around him over there in Jersey. And he's like 18-1 in his last 19 fights. Was the World Series of Fighting champion. He avenged that one loss that he had from a split decision in his octagon debut against Assunção just recently by finishing him in the first round. And when I look at this guy and his performances recently in the octagon, I have a hard time betting against him, even if he was fighting Dillashaw, Garbrandt, Cejudo, any of them. And so I would say my early favorite for this fight is that Marlon Morais will be the next bantamweight champion. But we've seen with Henry Cejudo that he's a very strong wrestler, obviously, an Olympic gold medalist, but very smart fighter also. And he's been in there recently. He's got back-to-back wins over TJ and DJ so he's been in there with quality opponents, to say the least. But the thing that's, I think, a really interesting storyline with this is it's kind of funny that the guy who was sold, they sold the show thanks in a large part to guys like Ariel Helwani building the storyline. The Cejudo TJ fight this is one man going to save the whole division. He's going to save this division if he wins. And then he goes out and gets it done in 20-some seconds, saves the division. But now it's like he's the guy that's going to be responsible for killing the division, especially if he goes up to bantamweight. If they don't go ahead and wipe the division out before this fight even happens, if he goes up to bantamweight and he's still the flyweight champion, it's no longer Cejudo that's fighting to save the division. It's actually Morais fighting to maybe save the division, because if Cejudo is still the flyweight champion, he still has that opportunity of going back down. But I think that you're probably more on target with the fact that I don't see them saving this division. They've wanted to start peeling it out anyway. And as you said with Cejudo, he's really the only star in that division right now. And I think that the older he gets and how big of a guy he is, I think he's going to perform better at bantamweight. And I don't think he's going to be wanting to make that cut anyway. And especially if he wins and becomes the bantamweight champion, I think that they'd go ahead and dissolve the division and just run with Cejudo as the bantamweight champion.
And what we're talking about is the 135-pound possibilities and a potential title fight between Marlon Morais and Henry Cejudo. I've been joined by our CRP analyst, Devin Miller, to talk about the 135-pound division after TJ Dillashaw's fall.